Have you ever wondered why the members of the Jehovah's Witnesses sect look so loyal? They seem to be very committed to street evangelism, door-to-door evangelism, setting up stands on the street corner and talking to you. What is it that is behind that commitment? In today's video, I'm going to show you the dark side of Jehovah's Witnesses' mind control techniques. This video is in two parts. Part 1 covers the first 3 mind control techniques that the governing body uses to keep its members loyal, while Part 2 covers the last 4 techniques that the governing body of the Jehovah's Witnesses use to keep its members loyal. Let's jump in right away, looking at Part 1. Now, the first thing that you have to know is that the Jehovah's Witnesses sect qualifies for what is called high control groups. Now, high control groups use specific techniques to be able to keep their members in line. Now, in this video, I'm going to show you hidden mind control techniques that the Jehovah's Witnesses sect uses to keep their members loyal at the cost of personal autonomy, freedom, and their relationship with outsiders. What are high control religions and organizations? High control religions and organizations manipulate beliefs and behaviors to maintain loyalty and prevent dissent. Now, according to Dr. Stephen Henson, high control groups are groups that use psychological coercion to control members' beliefs, thoughts, and behaviors. They do this to keep their members under control and loyal, and also to prevent dissent. And the Jehovah's Witnesses sect actually exemplifies this definition, employing various techniques and strategies to control their members to remain loyal and to prevent dissent, so that they can adhere to their doctrines and practices. For you to be able to understand how Jehovah's Witnesses maintain control over its members, you have to understand what mind control techniques are. Mind control involves psychological manipulation techniques that are designed to influence the members profoundly and mostly covertly. In her book, Combat Mind Control, Dr. Hassan identifies 4 components of mind control. This involves behavior control, information control, thought control, and emotional control. Now, each of these components play a crucial role in how the Jehovah's Witnesses operate. Now, let's look at some of the tactics that are used. And the first tactic that is used is called isolation tactic. Now, Jehovah's Witnesses actually discourage their members from interacting with people that are outside the faith. They discourage them to form relationships with non-members. This is not just a directive, but also a cultural norm. So what is expected here is that when you are a member of the Jehovah's Witnesses sect, you are directed not to form relationships with non-members of the faith. And not only that, they have created a culture and a norm whereby interacting with non-members is discouraged. In other words, they have put control in autopilot. People conform to this directive without even knowing. Even if they know, they are policed by their colleagues, their brothers and sisters, to ensure that they conform to this directive. So it's both a directive and also a norm that is expected for each member of the Jehovah's Witnesses sect not to form relationships with non-members. As former member and author John Seddar's notes, Jehovah's Witnesses are taught to view any outsider as a potential danger to their spirituality. So there's this aspect where members are discouraged to form relationships with non-members. They are discouraged, they are coerced not to, and they are directed not to. But on the other hand, what they do is they make sure that they form bonds within the community, thereby making this community a closed community, a closed society. Now, this technique or this approach or strategy is very, very important, and it is at the center of mind control. As you shall see when we look at the other aspects, how important this isolation technique is very, very crucial and underpins the overall mind control approaches. If you've liked this video, like it, give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and share. Now, this arrangement makes exposure to opposing views and lifestyle that are contrary to Jehovah's Witnesses, further entrenching the doctrines, practices, and beliefs of the Jehovah's Witnesses sect. The second aspect of control is the information control. And they do this by restricting access to information. Members are often prohibited from reading materials that are published from outside the sect. They are only encouraged to read materials that are produced by the sect itself. By so doing, they are controlling the information flow that members have access to. And all the materials that are published outside the Jehovah's Witnesses sect are either called secular materials, in other words, worldly materials. If they are from other religious organizations, they are called apostate materials. So these are ways in which the Jehovah's Witnesses ensures that members only have access to information that is produced by the Jehovah's Witness sect. Let's listen to this clip from a member of the governing body of the Jehovah's Witnesses sect.
Careful on the internet. We were talking about that this weekend with friends. Oh, my word, how many times do I tell you, be careful? You know, going here, going there, they'll suck you in. See, with some of this stuff, it can seem so innocent. We're just warning you that all we can do is admonish. Stick with what we have authorized. You'll be safe. You want to go out there, it's at your spiritual risk.
So members are restricted only to the Awake or the Watchtower magazines. The other thing that they do is that they don't allow members to even enter any other church. Even at a wedding, I remember at a wedding of our sister, my immediate young brother, who is a Jehovah's Witness, could not even enter the church to attend a church service of his own sister. This is how high information control is among the Jehovah's Witnesses. These are people who can freely enter a nightclub, a tavern, or any other place where they are selling liquor, but they would not enter a church or a Christian building where they are preaching the word of God. Because for them, entering a church is much more dangerous to their faith and beliefs than entering a nightclub, a tavern, or any other place where they are drinking, dancing, and doing all sorts of things that are contrary to Scripture. In the Watchtower magazine, dated January 15, 2014, the governing body stated, "We must avoid reading material that can harm our spirituality." Just as we saw in that clip where the member of the governing body of Jehovah's Witnesses stated, "Stick to what we have approved." Another member was proud to accept that they are actually brainwashed. It's only that he put it in a different way, and he said, "Our minds have been washed clean from the wrong doctrines that have evolved over time." So Jehovah's Witnesses have actually accepted of being brainwashed.
Some may say, unity of belief, you're brainwashed. Well, we do agree that our thinking has been washed clean from the complicated doctrines that have evolved since Jesus walked the earth.
Let's look at another component of information control, and that is propaganda and indoctrination. According to sociologist Dr. Gordon Merton, the Watchtower Society has mastered the art of propaganda, shaping members' perception of reality to align with its doctrine. Merton, the Encyclopedia of American Religions. Now, Now, Jehovah's Witnesses are actually experts in propaganda and indoctrination. So they do this by repeatedly presenting the same information over and over using different angles and approaches in conventions, in meetings, and using the literature. Let's look at the second component of manipulation, and that is emotional control. Firstly, they use fear tactics. Emotional manipulation is another tool in the Jehovah's Witnesses arsenal. Members are often instilled with profound fear of Armageddon, which is portrayed as imminent. As described in the Watchtower, those who do not heed Jehovah's warning will face destruction. Watchtower, April 1, 2009. This fear of divine punishment encourages compliance and discourages questioning of doctrine. The other thing that you have to know, now members are instilled with a lot of fear, insecurity, self-doubt, but mostly fear, and the fear they have is that of Armageddon. They are afraid of being destroyed by Jehovah during Armageddon, which is always imminent. This Armageddon has been imminent for a very, very long time. For more than 100 years, they've played this card very, very effectively. Now, the fear of divine punishment encourages compliance and discourages questioning the doctrine of the Jehovah's Witness. The second component of emotional control is guilt and shame. Members are made to feel guilt for not participating fully in the faith, as noted by former member Stephen Hansen. Disloyalty to the organization is seen as a direct affront to God, creating deep-seated guilt. Here is a clip from a former Jehovah's Witnesses member.
Were you always still a strict Jehovah? Or were you starting to doubt yourself at that time?
I think the abuse made me doubt it, but I thought that it was because I was somehow deficient spiritually, and that's why I was always down all the time. That's why I was always so negative. So when I moved to Edmonton, I thought it was like a new beginning. It was a new congregation, new set of brothers and sisters. It'll be a lot better. And it was for a while, but then things started creeping up in the back of my head, doubts, questions about why things are the way that they are within the organization.
Alongside fear, feelings of guilt are actually utilized effectively to keep members under control. Members feel guilty, feel inadequate and insufficient for not fully participating in the Jehovah's Witnesses activities. As noted by former member Stephen Hansen, disloyalty to the organization is equated to disloyalty to God. So if you are disloyal to the organization, it means you are directly opposing Jehovah God. This creates deep-seated guilt of the members of the Jehovah's Witnesses sect. Let's look at the third mind control technique that is used by Jehovah's Witnesses, and that is behavior control. Firstly, they use strict adherence to rules. The Jehovah's Witnesses enforce strict behavioral guidelines that govern everything from social interactions to lifestyle choices. Members are often pressured to adhere to these rules, which include prohibition from celebrating holidays and birthdays. According to a former elder, Ray France, members who do not conform face social and spiritual repercussions. France's crisis of conscience. Now, Jehovah's Witnesses actually use strict adherence to rules. And these rules govern social interactions, govern lifestyle choices, who they can interact with, how to dress, whether to wear a beard or not, which I hear now has been relaxed, and many aspects of their behavior. It also involves celebrating holidays, things like Christmas, birthdays. They are also strictly controlled. According to former elder Ray Frenzy, members who do not conform face social and spiritual repercussions. That is Friends' crisis of conscience. In addition to rules, they have an accountability system. So they set the rules, and on the other side, effectively, they set their accountability systems. This is very, very powerful. It's a very powerful system. For part 2 of this video, click on this link. If you've liked this video, like it, give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and share. What I've discussed with you are just snippets of Jehovah's Witnesses' beliefs, doctrine, and practices. For you to understand what Jehovah's Witnesses fear most, click on this link here. For part 2 of this video, click on this link.